Can you convert the revolutionary opportunity into revolutionary victory? We have way too many examples of the negatives. I mean, Chile in 1973, what happened in Argentina a couple years later, what happened in Spain in the 1930s, or in France at that time, or in Indonesia in 1965. And when the revolutionary opportunity comes, when a revolutionary crisis comes in society, the ruling class becomes terrified by it, and then turns to, like Nazi Germany is another, what happened in Germany in the early 30s is another example. The ruling class will turn then to the most violent forms of repression against the workers if they have been scared by the workers. Right now they're not scared by the workers, but the time will come when they will be. And so the idea of being prepared for a revolutionary crisis in society and having built organization that can help to transform the revolutionary opportunity into revolutionary victory becomes, from our point of view, a question of life and death for the working class. And when revolutionary opportunities come, they may not come again for another half century or century. That's not something that comes along. So I would just want to close by saying this. One, I'm very glad that you are here and that you exist, and I wish you well. I hope that you can expand and to grow, because there is really a lack of revolutionary organizations right now. There's not nearly enough as there should be. Number two, I hope that we can find ways to work together, and I think that that's very important. And we don't have to agree on every single issue, but I think that we do have a lot of commonality just from hearing a little bit of what you all have been saying here today. Number three, that we are having in Los Angeles a national public conference on November 13th and 14th. The last one we had was at the end of 2008, it was at UCLA, and it was about 400 to 500 people who attended. We think more people will come. This one will be at the University of Southern California, which is in the more center part of Los Angeles, and we wanted to get a more central location. But I hope you will think about it between now and then. There's a little bit of time of sending a representative or sending people there, and having a solidarity message at it, and something like that. The last thing I want to say is that the big thing I think that, the biggest things that stand in the way of people taking action in here is that people feel powerless. They feel like they can't make a change. And there's a million ways people are encouraged to feel that way. By the politicians, by the media, that, we don't know anything, we have to leave it to the people who really do know, even though, they are really our complete enemies. But there's that feeling that, and even for many people who are politically conscious, the question, can there really be a revolution in the United States? Is that really possible? Is socialism possible in the United States? And I think if you look at all of the contradictions and problems of society that exist in society and that are multiplying and intensifying now, I don't think there's any other way out. But I remember I was active in the anti-apartheid movement for many, many years. And you could see how horrific the apartheid system was in South Africa. And but you wondered, would it ever really end? With all. But then it did end. And afterwards, one of the leaders of the African National Congress there, right after it said, in the speech, he said, every revolution is impossible until it happens, and then it was always inevitable. And I think that's true. That when you look back in retrospect, you can see how the contradictions were such that there was no other way out. But it's hard to believe it until it actually comes. It's hard to see beyond what the society and the situation in which we actually live. So, thank you very much.
All right. Sorry, there's a running joke. Zizek makes it, right? You see these old videos of Mussolini and Hitler, right? They just do this, right? They don't clap for themselves. You see Stalin, though, he's clapping for himself, right? The difference, because he's doing it with the people, right? He helped the people, right? The fascists just take it.
Yes.
Right. We're very keen on that. But.
Okay, so why don't people make comments and... yeah.
So I'm thinking of what is to be done. Lenin has this problem. Sorry?
Do you want me to move the camera? Sorry.
Either way, you can pull it back. That's perfect. So Lenin has this problem, right? Basically like, okay, so what's the deal, what's happening? Right, there's all these mass uprisings. And he says what the party has a problem with is divvying out tasks, right? Having work for them to do.
Right.
But you see this is a sort of problem with all these upsurges of spontaneous movements is what is the work that needs to be done, like with this, like harnessing and channeling this energy.
Right, and that's why you have to build why it's so important. Once there's a real upsurge that's happening, then the organizations are always behind. They're always trying to catch up with the movement. And that's especially true when there's a revolution. Because what happens in a revolution, and like a mass upsurge of people, like the ones I was mentioning, like the immigrant rights or the anti-war, when there was a huge upsurge, they're sort of like mini revolutions. Like all this energy is unleashed. It's like unbelievable, the energy that comes out. And the people are there and saying, what can I do? What can I do? Like in What Is to Be Done, Lenin talks about how if the party was better, the big problem in his view at the time of the Russian socialist movement and the party, was that the party wasn't well enough organized to take advantage of what all people wanted to do to help the party. And he says that he said, so many more people, if we were more tightly organized, because of course it was a little bit different, but not qualitatively different. The difference was that at the time, if you did anything under Tsarist Russia, you were subject to great repression. Well, a lot of people feel that way now. And if they're going to go do something, they want to feel that they're doing something that matters. I mean, one of the big things is, like for us, we have quite a dynamic office, and we've had quite a lot of experience, but we still have this problem all the time. We always have to think about it. If somebody comes and knocks on your door and says, I want to help, what can you have them do? So you have to have that. Like we have volunteer coordinators, we have lists of tasks, things that you can plug people into. But then you have to kind of quickly know if, this is somebody who wants to not just do, something an hour a week or something like this. This is somebody who wants to become an organizer. And how can you help them become an organizer? And it's a really critical issue because if you can't, then they'll probably go away. And they'll probably go on to something else, or somebody else, whatever. But it's the art and science of revolution, and the art of organization is a large part of what it is. It's art. It's like, being able to sense things about what's going on. But Lenin said that about in What Is to Be Done. So I didn't really complete the point I was making when I was talking about how the different sides of Lenin. One side was Lenin in 1903, when the Bolshevik Party was formed, saying we must have a much tighter organization. 2 years later, there's the revolution in 1905, and suddenly, there's like tens of thousands of workers who want to join a revolutionary party. I mean, it was a very unusual development. So Lenin then gets into a huge battle with the rest of the Bolshevik Party, who in the meetings are actually hissing at him and yelling at him and quoting Lenin to Lenin, saying, this is what you said, because what he was saying then was that we should just open the doors of the party and bring them all in. Everybody who wants to join should join the party now. And so they're saying, 18 months ago you said this, and now you're saying, So he was much more nimble, because what he was saying, if they don't join our party, we're the Revolutionary Party, if they don't join our party, they'll join another party. They want to join a workers' party right now, and so they can either join the Reformist Party, and we'll lose them to reformism, or they can join a revolutionary party if we open the doors, and some of them will stay and some of them won't stay, but let's deal with the issue. Let's bring them into the party first, and then we'll deal with those problems afterwards. And then, you have Lenin denouncing the elections at one time, boycott the elections, and then a year later saying, okay, now the situation has changed, and we have lost ground, and we have to use the elections to reach out to the workers in whatever way we can, even under the most disadvantageous conditions that are imposed upon us by the Tsarist government. So like, we're running people, we ran first in 2008, we're running people in California. And not only do we not expect to get a lot of, we want to get as many votes as possible, but we say to people, when our speakers speak, we say, we don't want to reinforce illusions about elections. So we say to them, We're not running because we're trying to win. And we're not running because we think elections can bring about the change that's needed. We're running to get a message out about the need for socialism. And that what really will bring about the change is not the ballot box, but it'll be the mass movement of the people and of the working people, the workers in particular, that'll bring about change.